Alright, we're in Revit. We're going to take a look at how we can use maybe a floor plan that we found online to get started with our residential home design. Once you open up Revit, we want to make sure that we go to architectural template, then hit the browse and make sure that we select the residential option. This is going to set the levels for us, or at least give us a template for the levels that we can then go in and adjust later on based on the ceiling heights and so forth of our home. So residential template, hit OK, and we're going to go ahead and get started here. I'm going to see if I can bring that floor plan in on the first floor, and we will begin drawing there. So the first floor is the default, it's bold, that's where I am, and I'm going to go up to Insert and see if I can find that image. Okay, so I'll bring my image in, and the next thing we want to do is scale that up based on some dimensions that we have. We're going to not be able to get this right on perfect, but we can get it close enough that we can then go in and add some dimension that should work. So let's take a look. And this garage says it's 27 by 51, I believe, and we'll see if we can scale that up. If you remember from our site plan project, what we did is we came into annotate and drew a detail line and dimensioned that line and used that to scale our drawing. So I'll put this line in here, grab my modify tool. Okay, I think I scaled this to the wrong dimension, so I'm going to see if I can adjust this. I'm going to grab this guy, take it out of the way, grab my modify. This is supposed to be 31, I believe. And then I'm going to need to make this. And I'm just going to double check if these numbers work out. If I scale this down, I think that garage is supposed to be 31 by 27. Let's see if these numbers work out. On these drawings that we find online, they're just giving us some rough numbers, so I'm going to try to see if I can line these up and get this thing scaled close. I'm going to draw another line to reference, and this one, if I scale this properly, this one should come in at about 27, and that's not working either. So maybe I'm misreading this number on here. Maybe this, let's try this guy, see what this comes out to be. There we go. Okay, that's that. Now we've got it straight. So this was a 31. I couldn't read it, so it's 27 this way, 31 this, 31 this way, 27 this way. Let's see if that just holds true for this dining room. So this dining room should come in at about 15, and let's see if that's also true. Yeah, we're pretty close. It looks like we're scaled up just a tiny bit. So I'm going to bump it down a little bit, and then I'm going to get started with putting some walls in. So again, just like we did with our site plan that we pulled off the town, we can bring in our floor plan and just use this as a reference to start drawing our walls. Now this is a very complicated house that we're going to draw. It's got columns for a porch, and we'll talk about how to do those. I don't plan on covering all of this in the first video, but I figured it's worth it to come in here and pick a complicated house so that the rest of you who have something easier, it should be piece of cake to follow along. So bring your drawing in, scale it up, step number one, and then we'll get going with some of the basic walls and show you how to put in some of these trickier angled dimensions and so forth. Okay, so we're going to now switch out. I'm going to get rid of these detailed lines because I don't need them anymore, and I'm going to start putting some walls in. So under architecture, I'm going to select wall, architectural wall or structure wall. We're going to bring us to the same place. You're going to need to decide, and we can again change this after the fact. You're going to pick an exterior wall, and whether it's shingles or clapboards, you know, that's your choice, and again you can change that later on. So I'm going to select this wall type, and if you remember from our practice house, we're going to start with the foundation as the bottom or base constraint of the wall, and depending on the walls that you're drawing, you're going to change them, you know, to either be up to the roof or second floor, etc. So, you know, we will adjust those as needed. Some of these walls go full height, some of them do not. So let's go with, I'm going to go with first floor to start, and then we can adjust them accordingly. So if you remember, if we draw clockwise, the exterior of the walls or the siding goes on the outside. So I'm going to go ahead and start here and start drawing some walls. Try to make sure that you're drawing horizontally, and I'm getting some dings here because the walls that I drew, I had them set to the wrong level, or they're not visible in this level. So let's just take a look at what I did. So if you remember, in Revit here we have all these different levels, and there are views that are associated with those levels, but if we jump to the 3D view, we can see what I've drawn, and somehow I've managed to draw some really short walls. So I must have set something up incorrectly. Let me just take a look at my levels for a moment, and you can see my walls here in this elevation too, that I set them to the first floor, and what I meant to do is set those to the second floor. Okay, so all of these walls are too short. No big deal. We can select them, and we can change the level to the second floor. We can do this anytime we want. And now when we go back to our three-dimensional view, oops, I lost my, go back and find that. So that may happen to you as well. If you go to Views and User Interface, somehow I managed to close out my project browser. So I'm going to jump back to my 3D view, and that looks a little bit better. Now, you might notice that these walls overlap the inside of the house, and they have siding on them. We can address those later on. Let's go back to our first floor up here and continue moving along. So we've got our garage drawn now. I'm going to come in and start taking on the rest of this house. Now, if you notice, these look like exterior columns here, and we can address those exterior columns later on. We're going to go straight with the walls and stick with the walls of the house to start. Again, this is a fireplace on the outside, so we can ignore that. I'm going to come right around here, and we're going to follow the shape of the house all the way through, ignoring the porches for now. So again, I'm going to go in and grab my wall command, make sure that I have the same type of wall, which is exterior wall with wood siding on wood stud. This time I'm going to get it right and put it up to the second level. My base constraint is not the first floor. My base constraint is the foundation. Alright, so here we go again. I'm going to click right here and follow along. We're going to adjust these dimensions after the fact. Again, I'm not going to take on the fireplace. And I'm going to go ahead and add this little bump out here. May have to refer to some pictures of the house to really understand what's going on there. And this is going to require some This little area here, this nook, is going to require some accurate dimensioning at some point. It looks like this ends here, here, here. Remember that your middle mouse button is your friend. You've got the scroll there to zoom in and out, and if you hold it down you can pan, so you can work your way around, and looks good. Okay, I'm going to temporarily take this picture out of my scene, and let's take a look at what I have for my house. It's starting to shape up. We're going to start to add some dimensions in here and relationships, and some of these walls may need to be taken up or down. I'm going to stop this video and make a second video where we're going to come in and start to clean this thing up a little bit.